Let's get it.
Yeah, bro. I mean, honestly, I appreciate what you do, bro, because you getting out the mud right now. Like, you're on your own. Like, you're doing these fucking vegan shows.
Yeah.
Like, booking this shit on your own. How the fuck do you even find venues to host comedy? And then you put asses in seats.
Yeah. I guess I'll say I asked myself the question, how do you create demand without being popular? Because I wasn't popular, I haven't figured out my wave online that makes, like, putting out content and consistent, making whatever feels good to whatever artist type of shit you want to do. I haven't found that out yet, you know, whether it's clips, whether it's whatever, posting whatever, you know.
How is it? How do you?
I haven't figured that out, but I sat on that question. How do I create demand without being popular? And I essentially was just like, let me overlap like wherever my niches are, whatever I'm already interested in. Let me figure that out. Like even today, even though like you said, I do vegan shows. I do shows at vegan restaurants or animal sanctuaries. And how I find those is that I literally will find Facebook groups and Reddit groups, and I'll just find spaces, you know, Portland vegan or Facebook vegan Portland stuff, and I'll be like, hey, who has a space in Portland that fits 50 to 100 people? And people are enthused to support me and put something together. So not only do you have the challenges of like getting people out to the show, you already have a spot that has somewhat of a built-in audience or built-in support team. You already reach out to somebody on the ground who's like, well, these guys want to come into town and run a comedy show, should I help them? So that's usually the stepping stone of like setting up a show. And then from there, you know, you want to do all the promotional things that it takes to get the word out, let people know. Minor or major, if you got money behind it, it's a really good aspect of way of like, you know, finding out meta and doing ads and stuff like that. No one else is doing. It's nothing that's not traditional, bro. I think it's I apply it to even like you're a fresh ass, cool ass dude. You can do shows at a thrift store,
right?
You know, you can call thrift stores and be like, hey, I want to run a show. And thrift stores, they probably have email lists, and they probably have regulars, and they probably have sale days, and they probably have ways to bring people in. And they'd be like, thrift stores probably know other thrift store owners, and they'd be like, well, you can do it over there, you can do it over here. You'd be surprised how many people would be willing to put a couple $100 behind it just to see the success behind it. Be like, all right, let's promote it and push it, stuff like that. So that's what I've been doing when I come to here to Portland. This is my 5th time here, and that's what I've done here with some of the small businesses and restaurants and even real estate offices.
Did this idea of like being more entrepreneurial with comedy come from like a trauma, or was this just a natural incline in your creativity? Like, did something bad happen in the scene where you're like, yo, I'm not getting what I want from this shit, I need to make my own out of this shit? Like how did you get to doing this?
Yeah, well, you know, I'd say like that's the perk about being in LA, is that it compels you to build your own thing. Unless I wake up tomorrow, and it could happen, you're just in that momentum, you're in that consistency, however it looks. But unless I wake up tomorrow and I walk through that door, the very next best step is for me to fashion that myself. I have to fashion that door. I gotta build that door myself that I'm looking to walk through. And that's the door, like I said, the momentum and consistency. How do I get into that space? And you start to think, if you're only running around doing 5 minutes, what's the rate for a 5-minute set? Who's gonna pay you, even though as funny as you are, if you're only running around doing 5 minutes, what's the rate for 5 minutes? Who's gonna pay a ticket to see you do 5 minutes? So I started to think, in order for me to really make this like a fun thing of longevity in a career, I had to take myself and put the risk on myself to give me 30 minutes, to give me an hour. Because no one else is gonna give me an hour. No club is gonna give me just 30 out of nowhere if you haven't proven yourself. So it's like, you have to put yourself in position to put things together, run your own shit, give yourself 30 minutes, give yourself an hour to see how that feels, and to start organizing and putting marketing in a story and a theme and ways for people to invest into this, because now this is your comedic disposition. So that's still what I'm working on. It's like, how do I get people to invest in my comedic disposition where they're like, we want to come see this dude do an hour?
By the way, this is my brother Steven Marcus Releford. Is that how you pronounce your
That's
shit?
how you do it, man.
For sure. Yeah, we just
Juan,
jumped into this shit because we really just on some like guerrilla warfare type shit in a comedy club pulling out content right now.
You see where we at?
I ain't even supposed to be in here, but fuck it. We just doing what we do, and we got time, and I got 15. Yeah, forgive us for what we did. And
I ain't gonna smoke this in here.
So shit, man. Like, what's the like? How, do you feel like there's a like? Are you in the like financially? Is this more of a burden on you to go your own way, or do you feel like you've received more benefit from going in your own direction?
I think I've received more benefit now. I think first getting into it, like I've been doing stand-up since 2010, 16 years.
16-year veteran.
I've only been doing it as far as under this type of dynamic for the past year.
Oh shit.
So this is new for me.
Yeah.
Now I've been on the road, I've toured a little bit, whatever. But as far as financially, yeah, bro, you would be surprised. Like I said, like I probably make anywhere on the low end, maybe 700 in tickets. Now that's nothing crazy, but I save medium 12 to 3K on tickets, That's not including merch. So you can do pretty well, but at the same time, it's like, shit, I got sick this week. I was in the hospital all week. I didn't do all the shows that I wanted to do. So I came here in Portland with 3 shows planned, and I only got to do 1. Mm-hmm. Now I was fortunate enough to tag along and get on some shows with Ron Taylor, with my brother Ron Taylor and Mohan. But yeah, like in any other circumstance, this would have been a more beneficial situation.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I missed 2 of the shows from being sick. That's probably, I can touch on it right there. That's probably the most important thing is like, how do you take care of your body and your mind while pursuing artistry?
Because this isn't normal artistry either. This isn't just sitting in your room painting some shit. You gotta go out. You gotta touch people. You gotta deal with sick people. People ain't washed their hands. All type of nasty shit you gotta deal with, and still be funny.
And then maintaining your mental faculties of not being exhausted, staying up late, drinking if you drink, smoking if you do any other types of drugs. So it's like me. I just ignored me taking my blood pressure pills. And I ended up getting here and fucking my shit up.
Right.
Where I'm just sick as a dog,
Fuck, man. Yeah, you really all in on this shit, bro.
Yeah.
I respect the fuck out of that shit.
Your sick days look different as a stage performer, too. Because imagine you got 60, 80 people who bought tickets to come see you. And the hour before the show, you done. And, I mean, it is, it's so funny because I talked to Russell Peters, and he was telling me how he was sick before a show, and he didn't show up and do a show. And sometimes he backs out of shows and shit like that. But it's like, yeah, you're Russell Peters.
Yeah.
You do that. But it's just funny how, like, 2 weeks later, I find myself in the same position to where it's like, I'm sick as a dog, and I can't perform and live out the dream that I set up myself to do. And I've worked so hard to kind of carve out this individual lane to where I can be independently doing comedy without, like I said, necessarily
without the gatekeepers,
without being popular, without like having the clout, but still putting together quality shows where people are able to catch wind of me and come out and enjoy my stuff.
Yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough to be in this industry because it's so cutthroat, bro. Like you gotta fight through so much. Like losing your voice to a normal person is a investment killer for comics, bro. Like,
oh my gosh,
like
I've dealt with that. I've quit. I remember the first time I came up here actually was with a podcast and a team of guys that I was working with, and I came up here on the end of quitting cigarettes, and for some reason, I just had that type of reaction that they talk about as far as like cigarettes can be one of the toughest things. Bro, it felt like I was kicking cigarettes to where I was having flu-like symptoms. I'm in the bathtub, like I'm feeling like shit.
Yeah.
And we have shows here in Portland.
And you gotta do them shits if you want to get paid.
Bro, and I'm showing up sick as a dog. I showed up late to the show. The audience just started clapping. I came in the middle of my set and just went straight on stage.
God damn, bro.
Yeah.
This shit is real warfare, bro. I ain't gonna lie. you 16 years in, like, what are the greatest lessons that you've learned from being 16 years in, and what would you like tell a young comic who's just getting into this shit, starting out day one? Like, if you had to give a nigga 3 rules starting day one in comedy as a 16-year vet, what would it be?
All right, I would say your audience is meaning your space. As an artist, you're learning how to bring your context in the middle of where the room that you're at. Meaning, how can I bring my relationship with the context of this art form and make it as relatable as I can to bring the audience as close as I can as I am. To my love to this thing, how can I bring them as close as I can with my words and my energy and my act outs and whatever the case, the paint and the words and the picture that I'm painting, how can I bring them as close as I can to my craft?
Yeah, like how can you make strangers see your vision? And how can those two things tie together for like a perfect relationship? Is that what you're saying?
So I say your space is A and your material is B. But your material must be in your DNA, meaning it should be you. It should be you, and you should know it frontward and backwards, meaning you should know the 1 minute version, the 5 minute version, you should know the 15 minute version. Like, you should have your material so seamless in your life and your ideas and your practice. Your material, you should just know it. You feel it, you should just know it to where you can play with it forward and backwards, you know? So I say, like, that would be the first thing as far as starting out. Just be like, your audience is A, your material is B, but your material should be in your DNA. So it's like, they're both A, but it's just like, you always want to be aware of the space that you're in, because I guess the second part of it, I don't like giving advice, but since we're talking about it, I love what you're doing here. If I were to truly give advice, I think the second part also is like, I was gonna say, it's kind of like finding your own pocket, you know? Once you're in the pocket, no matter, like, whatever your flow is, because this is all about expression, bro. So, like, whatever your true nature and your flow is and your authentic self is, once you can find that pocket, the easier it is for you to translate and express yourself in a funny ass way. So you can find your pocket no matter if you 1 day in or you 1,000 years in. The more you in the pocket, the more you're gonna have fun on stage, the more that's gonna translate to other people.
Yeah. How long do you think it took you to find like your voice in this shit? Because I feel like when you start out, you almost are speaking a different voice than your actual voice, and you kind of learn it through time, through like bombing, through success. You're like, I think this is where my voice is, and then you start tailoring it off. Then you start finding it more and more over the years. Like, how long do you think it took you to get to like, I think this is how I want to approach, like, because you're like a sit-down comic. Like, you stand up, but like, even when you stand up, it still feels like you're sitting down.
It's
so it's like, how do you get to that like true persona?
I believe if I give it years, I'll say those first 3 to 5 years, you're probably the most shocking and like low-hanging fruit, and just like doing whatever you can to feel like you can keep the audience's attention. You know, I usually do these jokes, me and some other friends, Corey, shout out to my Chicago comedy homie. We make this mention about how you can tell people are like within their first 1 to maybe 5 years of the comedy, because those first 2, 3 jokes are usually like a self-deprecating joke about how they look and what they are. I look like a cross between, I look like these 2 people married, and I look like, and it's just an obvious like telltale sign. But to be honest, I think it takes almost 5 to like 8 years to what I would compare to like pulling out Excalibur. You know, you pull out Excalibur and now you have your sword. But just because you have your sword don't mean you know how to use it. So I feel like it takes another maybe 3 to 5 just wielding Excalibur in the form where you're like, okay, now I feel like I have my flow, I have my voice, I have my cadence. And that's what I go about. It's about being in the pocket, because it's like the more you can get familiar with being in the pocket, the more over time you start building out your voice and your cadence and your flow, coming up with material and getting on stage, and you can do that in your sleep. I think the toughest thing is the business of it, of an artist just finding a way to carve out their own lane. You know, I think that's the toughest thing. But as far as like putting in the time, yeah, bro, pull out that sword. You got 5 to 8 years and learning how to wield that sword. And it's really a telltale sign of how often you can get up in front of quality audiences. How often can you get that feedback? Because I compare it to like writing music. You know, you're making these jokes, but the audience are the instrument. So you need different instruments. You may need a bass, you may need some drums, you may need a horn section. You need to be in front of different people to see how this music sounds, to see how you want to mold it, you know. So I think it all comes down to like pulling out that sword, finding out how you want to build your voice, and then from there, you're in the pocket. It's just like your favorite artist. You know your favorite artist, no matter what genre, even if it's not like even if they're freestyle. Your favorite artist, that's Jay-Z, that's J. Cole, that's Kendrick Lamar. I can tell by their cadence. That's Metallica playing. I can tell by the way I can tell that that's the Temptation. I can tell. Just so that's the goal, is for you to get such in your craft to where you just have your familiar style. And it's kind of like tattoo artists, bro. Like some artists that are super sought out are artists that have their whether it's a shading, a coloring, a animation, mark, whatever it is. Over time, they built a particular style to where people are like, oh, I want this guy. And I think it's the same with art and comedy. It's like you essentially want to set yourself up to where you can put your art on a table where people can invest in. Be like, oh, Juan is funny, and Juan do this, and Juan, I love the shit that Juan do. And immediately people are just able to invest in your disposition, your brand, your artistry, because you just have an easy way for them to access you, because you set up a table for them to be like, here I am, and this is what I do. You know, I compare it to like us all being tap dancers. It's like, it's not even in the competition. You really just want to be like, I tap like this. This how he tap, this how I tap. But this, if you want to support the way I tap, here it is.
Yeah, you kind of led me right to a good question. Like, how do you think, how do you feel about comedy competitions, and do you think it's a net positive or a net negative for the art of comedy?
I don't really. I mean, I guess ultimately it's dope. You want to like. I like to test out my sword. So anywhere you can test out your sword is cool. Now, paying for competition is a whole another thing. I think the thing that's lacking when it comes to competition is that I don't know if there's enough overlap between getting the audience invested in the support of the artist. Meaning, like, there's a lot of people in your local neighborhood who are dope, and there's a lot of people in your town who are fresh, and there's a lot of artists who are nearby that you may not know anything about. And I think there should be a more consistent way to connect an audience with the local talent. So, I mean, the competition is cool because it's like, all right, you get maybe 100 people in, 40 people in the 20, now you get in the finals of 10, 15. It's cool because over the course of maybe 2 to 3 months, now you have the audience coming back and seeing this guy, keep coming back, seeing this guy. So I feel like any competition that kind of cultivates a relationship between the community and the artist, I think is positive. I think any competition that kind of does the opposite, to where if maybe highlighted one person, but it was anticlimactic, and it was like basically it was a money hustle. You got money from all these comics to come to this show or to come to this town, and they pick their friend. And it's like, Okay, and then even for that, what was the end benefit? Maybe he got to do one show. So I just want, regardless of the competition, I think there should be a relationship between the community and the talent, and there should be a clear through line of upward mobility. Because I feel like a lot of competitions, they fall flat as far as like, okay, now what? And what's going on? And okay, there was 10 of us that did really well. What is in store for us over the next year that looks like a marker of success because we have this badge of like being in this competition?
Okay.
Like, is it, I mean, I just feel like if you're gonna spend 3 months or even a weekend on getting the town galvanized about what's going on, there should be a dope way for them to keep up with, oh shit, you know the guy who won that thing that we went to go see? He's also doing this show. There should be way, and I don't know what that fully is, but I feel like there's ways to connect like what's going on the ground and getting people indoors. If I'm saying, hey, come see these 10 people, and these 10 people are the 10 funniest people in the city, I'm sure those 10 people in the city want to see those people go forward and see what that means, you know? So it's like that those 10 people should have gigs throughout the city, in different parts of the city.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Even like what I'm doing, I'm literally reaching out to places that don't do comedy who are willing to see a successful comedy show. Yeah. I mean, shit. Now that we're just talking about it, what if like random, what if the club was like, oh, we're gonna hold this competition, we're gonna highlight 10 people who win this competition, we're gonna give one person, 3 people money, and then at the end of that, we're gonna run a series of neighborhood backyard shows that we're gonna connect with the people in the audience, and between now and next year, we're gonna set up a series of a circuit.
So like extra due diligence, like in a, you know, like there's follow up. Yeah, you can't just have this competition be this precipient cash collection for this corporation, and then all right, you guys go back to what you're doing, and we'll take your money again next year. Type of competition. Of course, there is a lot of predatory people in our industry, which is why I respect what you do by stepping outside of that. Like, do you feel optimistic about your future in comedy? Do you ever see a day where you're like, you know what, man, like I'm tired of doing this grind, bro. Like, I'm tired of having to succumb to this bullshit. I don't even want to be a part of this shit anymore. Do you ever see yourself doing that?
I see it getting better, actually. I see it getting easier. I see that I'm coming out of that. I think.
So you were in that. You were in that.
Yeah. I don't think you get into art without, especially comedy. I don't think you get into comedy art without bumping into the walls and falling out of love with it, and like feeling dejected and feeling like completely jaded, feeling like, man, this shit is not working, this shit's not hitting, I'm spending too much money, I'm not making no money, my girlfriend left me, like all that shit, bro, like heartbreak, like all those things are things that people experience in life. But when it comes to comedy, yeah, bro, we deal with it in some of the toughest ways, because when it comes to getting paid, the access to getting paid consistently is such a challenge, especially being in LA where you're in the showcase city. That's what I was saying earlier. It's like, what's the rate for a 5-minute set? No one's paying people for a 5-minute set. So you're in a showcase city where you're only doing 5, maybe 10 minutes. You really have to put yourself in a position for people to pay for it. A ticket, you know, whether it's at the club or whether you're doing shows outside the club, which is what I'm doing, and I'm seeing my colleagues do it. So I see myself coming out of that jaded space, because I have colleagues of mine that will either do the club or literally get a warehouse and get 200 people to come out and see them at a warehouse. And I feel like if I can continue to properly set myself up, put myself out there, there's no reason by the end of the year that I couldn't be pulling rooms at 200. The same that the main room fit, I want to be able to do that at the real estate office. Towards like, I can choose to bring it to the club if I want to, but I can also choose to take most of the door myself, or not charge the audience 2 drink minimum and maybe let my homie come in and bartend, you know. So it's like, that's the space that I want to put myself in, and I feel like I'm carving out that lane to where people are going to be familiar with my disposition and the way that I do comedy, to where they want to come out and support me. So pray to God that I continue to move in that space and carve that out. But no, I'm actually feel like comedy and art right now is in a great space as far as being independent and fertile ground, finding a love in it. I think it's super possible. I think doing stuff like this, what you're doing, is exactly what I'm saying, as far as like, you're crafting a table where people are like, oh, that's fucking wild. Yeah, he did that shit. That shit's funny. That shit's really good. Really insightful. It's really cool. That, bro, the homie Jesse, I was just telling him, you can literally start an Instagram of just going around telling people I love you, and you become the I love you guy. Mm-hmm. Oh, you're the I love you guy. Bro, I see you on your video. And you can book shows being the I love you guy. You just want to set up a space for yourself to be able to thrive. And I think that's the challenge. It's not, can you do the comedy? Can you put the time in? It's, damn, how am I going to bridge the gap between people really being able to find me and support me and come out? When it's silent, when people don't know you, when you feel like you are crushing it and people don't see you, that's the challenge of like, how do I navigate and not feel like I'm being left out or undervalued or not getting my just due. And I think it just comes back down to that, putting that battery in your back and figuring out, how can I set my own thing up? Whether it's like shooting an interview in a fucking green room, you know, like how can I set my own thing up to where it's like, boom, I got something to float on during this fucking Titanic. Mm-hmm. During whatever this door is, I have my door. And as an artist, you just want your door to, now it's like, okay, I can add shit to it. Okay, now we're actually a full functioning boat, and now this shit is working. So, no, right now I feel pretty good as far as where I'm at, as far as between here and the rest of the year, the momentum that I've carved out, what I can put together, the support that I have so far. So I'm like, no, this is working. I wish I would have taken these steps earlier, and I've seen examples of this. Like, I started running shows in 2017, and even now I feel like that's the third piece of advice. Your audience is A, your materials B, find your pocket, stay in your pocket. And the third piece of advice, run your own thing. Those would be it. The first two is applied to the craft. The third one is probably the most important because it's applied to the business. And it's not that it's like the most important. I'm just saying, as far as like setting yourself up for success that has nothing to do with no one else telling you yes, that's what you want to be in. You don't want to be in a space where someone has to validate you. You want to be able to validate yourself. So I feel like finding love with the craft, being in this pocket, and building your own thing. Those are going to be the things as far as like what I would give advice to for anybody who's getting into this stuff or who's already in it. And what I look to hold to myself is like, yo, when it comes to stepping on stage, as long as that you maintain aware of what's going on and how you're operating, I feel like getting on stage is like robbing a bank. Every bank is not going to have the same safe. So my job is to go in with the tool belt, to listen, to see, okay, I want to do this, I want to go this way, the audience is right here. And it's not to change like my stuff, it's just to, like I said, this safe requires this tool, boom. Because once you crack the safe, you're in the pocket. And once you're in the pocket, you can take the audience anywhere you want to take them. There's nowhere you can't take the audience once you're in the pocket. So, be in the pocket, build your own thing.
Goddamn, that's Stephen Marcus Releford right there, my brother, dog. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. My brother just killed a packed out, sold out room in Helium for Ron Taylor, winner of Funny AF. If you would have watched the show, you would have known who's the funny one. They both were funny. They both killed it, man.
Shout out to Ron. Thank you so much. Thank you, Juan, and shout out to Ron.